What's up, everybody? It's your main man, Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz, platinum producers, multi-platinum producers. Shout out to my partner, Mike Trauma D. We are live again for another night. We here. We trying to get it done. Shout out to everybody that messes with us on the live. Every night we get together and we basically do music production and beat making live. Make sure you're checking us out at arkatechbeatz.com. And like I said, we build beats and we, go over the music business with folks, man. Like that's what we do every night at 9 o'clock or 9-ish. We try to get here as we can and then, do our thing, So, I got a drum that I've been working on. You know what I mean? We here, you know what I mean? Zach, what up? What's the word, son? Again, trying to get busy tonight. We're trying to do something a little extra. Let me get this drink out of the way. You know what I mean? What's happening with you, though, homie? Okay. Let's lay that down. Try something. Shout out to everybody that's jumping into the live. You're going to start doing some covers. Let's go, brother. Let's go. Ready, what's up? Again, what's up? try something. This is two different samples. I'm gonna try something here. Shout out to everybody that's jumping into the live. Born Ready, I see you. All right, so now I think I got something here. So I got two samples, right? One is right. It's a combination of the and the piano going ding 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 ding, like those are dope elements. And then when it kind of builds up and it crescendos, right? Like, you know what it is. Like, so like, you know how I like my samples to always have those kind of variations, go between 2 to 4 bars, so we can build up. But I came across another sample, right? And that's just all guitar. Now some people will say that's two different beats, right? But I think this is what my brain is telling me. And follow me real quick. Okay, so what we did is we did a mute group. They're gonna turn each other off, right? Y'all ready? Let's go. Make sure y'all sharing the live. So now I think I'm gonna combine both samples, right? Like that's the way to make it work. Let's go. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Hold on a second. Try to add a little reverb onto this. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to the new followers. Shout out to people who are coming on. We're here every night at 9 o'clock. I'm your main man, Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz. If you've never been here, welcome to the Arkatech Beatz live music production and beat making tutorials every night at 9 p.m. We are multi-platinum producers. Big Pun, Nas, Jadakiss, The Game, Raekwon the Chef, RZA, Killer Mike, Waka Flocka, Shorty Low, Alley Boy, Trouble, you name it, we've done it. Meek Mill, right? Every night we get on and we basically are helping people learn this music business. And you can ask people who've been in my sessions for a while. They get to ask us anything. Or how'd I forget Max B? Why you do that, right? I can't forget that. I can't forget Max B. He'll be home soon. But yeah, I'm just saying all of that to just let people know that, you know, this is who you rocking with. We're not an arbitrary person on the internet just making beats, you know what I mean? You see how we combine both of those samples, but I think I'm gonna move. I think I could nudge it up. Hero, what up? Nope. That's like it. Let's try it again. Actually, it was placed right. Okay. So should we sample in mono? No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Do not sample in mono. No. Let me tell you something that I learned. And I learned this, man. And I learned this one time in the studio. I learned this. And I learned it by accident. Let me tell you what happened. I am in the studio as a staff producer and A&R consultant on Raekwon's The Chef, second album, Immobilarity. Shout out to him, Raekwon the Chef. Right, Wu-Tang. I'm in California. I'm in Track Record. We are basically getting ready to record a new song with one of the hitmen, one of the hitmen from Diddy's camp. Of course, you know, they just came off the big Life After Death album, right? With Biggie and all of that. So you got Nasheem, Myrick, and these guys coming in. And for those who don't know him, he did a lot of the Biggie songs. Somebody Got to Die, Top of New York with CNN. He did all of these big records, right? So he comes into the studio. He's laying down the track, Yayo. If you never listened to it, you can go listen to it. Raekwon's Immobilarity is a song called Yayo, right? He's laying down the tracks for Yayo. I'm watching him. He's using this Mantronic sample and a bunch of things, and he's laying these tracks down. And, you know, I had an MPC and I had an ASR, and I always was used to laying down all of our tracks, you know, one by one, you know. The snare is on one track, and then the kick is on another track, and then the sample is on another track. What he did, as part of the Hitman, he laid down all his tracks in stereo. So his snare was in stereo, 2 tracks. His kick was on 2 tracks. His samples, of course, was on 2 tracks. All of his instruments was on 2 tracks. None of his instruments went into one channel. And that's what I learned. That's why their music sounded so big. So we don't sample in mono. If you can sample in stereo at all costs, that's what you do. Just making sure that's the story. That's what I learned in real time. I learned that from watching the guy. He never said a word. I just watched him and I saw what he was doing as he was laying down his track. And that's when I said, oh, so even though I had 8 outputs, right? And you would figure you would put one, you know, track output number 1, you would put the kick. Output number 2, you put the snare. Output number 3, you would put the hi-hat. That's what you would think, right? No. Track 1 and 2 is the snare. Track 3 and 4 is the kick. So, you know, back then, my mic cut out? Hold on. Did it? Can y'all hear me? I'm wondering. I'm like, yo, my mic cut out. I still hear myself. So yeah, that's what I learned. And I just hope that everybody can learn from that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly and truly, it was an eye-opening experience, man. And then now you wind up hearing how your music had it just was louder. It was louder because you basically doubled your channels. You know what I mean? So that's just what I learned at the time. Take that as you will. But yo, if you got any questions, man, drop them in the chat. Yo, chat, where's everybody from? The new people in the chat, make sure y'all hitting the follow button. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure y'all sharing. I got energy tonight. I don't feel as sick as I did yesterday. Yesterday was, I was like, when I said, man, I was feeling it last night. I was not feeling it last night. And I was trying to get myself through it. Loans from Bronx, New York. That's where I'm from, man. I'm from Bronx, New York, man. Gun Hill and Boston Road, man. Let's go. If y'all know about Gun Hill, y'all know about it. Right? Y'all know about it. Right? Go. You say you on Gun Hill Road? Oh, man. Yo, go grab some Nick's Pizza, bro. Let's go. Used to have to be coming off that Gun Hill Road 5 train with my ratchet. Let's go. Let's go. And I know a lot of people have been asking me, yo, Jug, what kit are you using? What kit are you using? Tonight, I'm using the Arkatech Beatz Streets of New York drum kit. Alright, so nobody can't ask me no questions. That's what we're using tonight. All the beats you're going to hear tonight, we're using that drum kit. Go to arkatechbeatz.com, man. It's right there. Instant download. Salute to you, man. PW, I see you. No L's, I see you. Dom, I see you. He said the sample name. Where did I get the sample from? It's a splice sample. I've been getting these copyright strikes. It's been crazy. Hero, no, I didn't get a chance to, bro. The BM be flooded. I'm going to get to it. Well, we just made it from scratch pretty much. I had the drums in here. But just so that you can kind of follow along, we got the kick in it. Right? Got the snare going. Right? I need to add a little bit of reverb to that snare. Open hat. Right? Excuse me. Regular hi-hat. And everybody knows that when I do my hats on a velocity 16 level kind of thing, right? To kind of make it seem like it's going fast and slow. That's something that we try to just give it a little bit of variation, you know what I mean? And then this sample is
Arkatech Beatz.
That's not it. Hold on a second. So it's two samples that we combined. Right? So if we go to I'm gonna copy this sequence to another sequence, to a new sequence. All right, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna double this up. So if you notice, this sample goes like this, right? Right, dun, dun. And then what I did is when before it goes dun, then I go. So I use this part of the sample to cut off the other part of the sample, which is kind of strange, but it just seemed to go. So this is the second sample. It's totally different from the first one. You know what I mean? So we just kind of combine that. Yeah, that's the MPC X. Let me go to I need a name for the beat, so somebody in the chat give me a name for the beat on there. I got another beat that I started. All right, and then I got another sample in here. That joint sound crazy right there. I want it to be louder though. I'm gonna normalize it to get it a little higher. You hear that? That's all separate parts. If you really think about it, you could make so many different parts with that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna speed this up. I need a better groove. That's crazy. Yeah, we got to do that. We definitely got to do that. Like there's just no way that we can't do that. Like we have to do that. Like, you know, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. That piano is just nuts. And all we're doing now is we're just matching up parameters. Somebody said, how many instruments do you sample at once? You sample as many as you might need, man. To be honest, I like to just start with a main sample. And it just depends. If I hear something that I think is going to complement the sample, then I may import the sound, I may load it, and then I'll try it. If it works, then we work. If it don't work, then we keep it moving. Like, you know what I mean? So what you guys are starting to watch me do in real time is I'm figuring it out, right? Like a lot of this stuff is just being figured out live, real time. And for folks that's come into the live, that's been into the live with me for the last 2-3 weeks, Zach, Born Ready, Hero been in here for a few days. There's a few other people that come in, Anthony Brussel, a few cats, Noels, you know what I'm saying? PK, I see you, or PW rather. Like, y'all know that I'm just doing it in real time, trying to really work that out. And what I'm just trying to give people is just a glimpse into how the process that we use, you know, or that I use rather, right? And of course, in real time, I'm answering questions. And then sometimes in real time, people are saying, hey, maybe slow it down. Sometimes speed it up. It just all depends on what the vibe is and, you know, and what people is doing. And then sometimes people is going to give me names for tracks and, you know, it's all really a big learning experience, you know. But at the same time, you know, answering these questions. So we see that we have a sample that has a lot of parts. Now, traditionally, we would take this sample and we would put it into the MPC and we would chop it into a new instrument and chop it up and have all of these segments individually so that we can control them individually. And, you know, that might be the easier way per se, to kind of do what it is that we do. But I only want to use 2 parts of it. So, you know, I got right, and then I got the So what I want to also do is I want to make sure that I'm doing these mute groups right? So this is on A9. I want to make sure that I got one sound on A9, one sound on A10. So I want A9 to be turned off by A10. And then I want A10 to be turned off by A9. And if we do it the right way, it turns off each other. Right? So what we've done is we successfully created a mute group. Yo, somebody give me a name for this beat in the chat, man. 40 below boots. I like that. It's crazy. These are 40 below boots. All right, so now I'm gonna sequence this one. Whoops. Back to number one. My man Hero Beatz said, y'all gotta name this joint 40 below boots. And I agree with him. If you know, you know about 40 below boots. If you know. Only certain type of guys gonna have 40 below boots. If you know, you know. New York grimy, man. 40 below boots, man. If they got the 40 belows, you better run. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody that's sharing the live. Cleats. He says he's asking me, how am I stopping the guitar and the sample from playing through? And again, it's a mute group, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into your program edit, and then you're gonna go into your global settings. And what you'll have in the MPC has what we call mute targets, right? So it'll tell you what pad it is, and then on this side it'll tell you what pad will cut this pad off, right? So this pad is A5. I've programmed it so that when I press pad A6, it cuts off pad A5. And that works too if, say, for example, you got a long 808 that kind of keeps trailing through. Like if you know that's like the FL Studio thing where you used to have the 808 used to keep carrying through the beat or through the different sequences. That's because people didn't know how to really do mute groups and know how to mute their instruments to cut off that before it carried over to the next situation. So all we did was we took A5 and then we made A6 cut it off. And I hope that answers the question. Hold on a second. You guys can't even see part of my pad. I didn't even catch that. We gotta make this a little bit, what you call it. So this is the first beat, right? That was beat number one. Well, and then, of course, beat number two. doubling that up. Shout out to everybody that's in the live, of course. And I'm just trying to lay a classic New York 808 bass line. And for those who are familiar with that grimy East Coast sound, and that's the whole point of the lives too. The point of the lives is basically to kind of, for people to work through it. Not like exactly, but just to kind of follow along and kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with and how we're working with it. And yes, it is trial and error. I think with music is all experimentation, you know what I mean? Even if you're the most classically trained person, and, I think it's all experimentation. But if anybody has questions, James the Boy is asking me, how do I feel? No, I'm sorry. Hero Beats is asking me, how do I feel about releasing beat tapes? Yeah, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. And remember, what happens is like this. Music on your hard drive. You can't do nothing with music on your hard drive, man. If I'm being 100% with you. Like, your music needs to be released. And, you just got to know how to promote it. And let the chips fall where they gotta fall. You know what I mean? That's really the honest to God feeling behind it. Because for people who are putting music out, like I suggest that all music producers release instrumental tape, beat tape. I feel that every producer should do that. Remember what I said in yesterday's live. Today's producer is no longer just a producer; they are artists. Okay, and until you put out a release, you can't be regarded as an artist if you do not put out your music as an artist. So you should be putting out your music. You should be putting it out frequently. You should be looking to build your own brand identity so that when you are selling music to other artists, you have more value, right? You need to have more value when you're going into these type of situations, and you need to be able to have a little bit more leverage, right? Because if you have a catalog of music that you've released, excuse me, and that music is doing, fairly well, one, you get to make income off of it. Two, you enhance your situation in terms of being discovered, right? Because you have to look at what Spotify and these streaming platforms really are. They really are discovery platforms. They're platforms so that you can get discovered. But if you don't put the music out, there's no way for you to get discovered. If you don't put the music on YouTube, there's no way for you to get discovered. People still got CDs out there, bro? Yo, who in the chat has any of the music publishing and or copyright books, and who has questions as it relates to those? because I know some people were purchasing some of those books, and I know some people were going through it, and some people had questions. So while I'm on the live, just ask the questions, man, and I get it answered for you. Fruity Loops is still free. I put Fruity Loops on my kids' computers. I think that is probably the best thing to learn, so that they can kind of understand the grid and understand like time signatures. And I think it's the easiest way to learn. The thing with having the free Fruity Loops is you can't save anything. That's the issue. So Dre the DJ, yes, it is still a free program. I suggest that for parents who are kids who want to, or who have kids who want to get into it, it's that, or there's these smaller beat machines. I can't remember the names of them off the top. Well, maybe I can, but you know, it's not a good product placement. But yeah, you want to basically show your kids that, you know what I mean? Like I have my kids, they're on FL, and my kids are 8 and 10 years old. Not even. He said Pocket PC? Maybe Pocket PC. He said there's a crack version. Where you gonna get a crack version at? People still using crack versions? Let me stop lying. I got a crack version from back in the day. Nah, I'm only playing. Shout out FL Studio. We are brand ambassadors there. They gave us free stuff a long time ago. Hey, DJ Drumtastic, thanks for sharing the live. Yo, thanks to everybody sharing the live, man. Thanks to everybody liking it. Thanks to everybody who's dropping the gifts, super chats, you name it. I appreciate it. For those producers that are asking me what drum kit am I using, I'm using the Arkatech Beatz, Streets in New York, at arkatechbeatz.com. Lay that down. Wrong note. Let's go again. Sometimes I drew a blank, man. Let's go. Wrong timing again. Let's go again. Says his daughter heard the beat and said they got their head bopping. 40 below boot. Man, just Google the 40 below boot, man, so you can see what it look like. When I was growing up, cats would wear cut off jean shorts, gold chains with wife beaters, and 40 belows or 20 belows. But they would be diesel, you know what I'm saying? They'd be diesel, they'd be out there, you know what I'm saying? They would stop me and they'd be like, yo, I need you to do some push-ups, yo. Go ahead, Jug, do some push-ups. Yo, Jug, I need you to do some pull-ups and do some dips. We used to have to do dips. Every time we see the old heads, they be like, yo, you got to do dips, homie. You got to do dips and push-ups. Crazy, that piano. Like that thing is just it's special when you get a sample that do some special stuff, boy. Man, I'm telling you, whenever you can find a sample that can do something special, man, you better run with it. Run with it. I think I got one more joint in here. We're gonna do that one. That joint going crazy. You heard that? That joint going crazy. So, man, that joint going crazy. He said, let the melody ride for 4 bars. We're going to work it out. First, let's try to figure out what's our tempo going to be. Look like we at about 75. We want to make sure we get all of that locked in. And then when we start changing stuff around, it'll do what it needs to do. Let's go. Yo, Zach, man, let me tell you something. What would Q-Tip do? Like, listen, what would Q-Tip do? That should be a series. Like, what would Q-Tip do? 'Cause, man, what would Q-Tip do, man? That's incredible. go. How come y'all don't want drumless beats? Listen. It's a good tempo. We went from 75 to 78. Let's get that in real quick. Electric piano. again. One more time. That's not it. That's not it. I got it. One more time. everybody that's in the live. Yeah, I need a name for the beat. Zach said pool hall.
Arkatech Beatz.
Can it go faster? Danny said, nice tempo. I pitched it up a little bit. Try to add another sound to it. Try to add another sound to it. Let's see how it go. And sometimes we're just trying to see if something else goes. Yep, accents. turn it into. Let's turn it into a. We're gonna assign that to some keys, and see if that works. Whoa. Right? It's an in-between note. It's definitely a different chord. What I might need to do is I might need to just isolate that one note, copy it to another track, and then now tune that individual note to get it to the tune that I want it to. And, you know, of course, that's going to take a bunch of time that I don't have tonight. Shout out to everybody that is in the live. It should be a black key, but it's not. Remember what we did? We made our own instrument. And it's a chord. So sometimes a chord may not actually, it may not go down. Because it's a chord, it may not necessarily be like a key to a key. You know what I mean? So if you hear that's a good chord. Yeah, it's an in-between chord. So sometimes if you're good with your music theory, you can find it really quickly. If you're trying to tune a sample, yeah, you're gonna be here for a little while. But that's beat number 3. So let's go over what we did tonight, man. So with this now, we started with that sample's crazy though, right? that. Love that. So for those who's just getting into the live, listen, man. We've been on live now for an hour and 20-something minutes. Slick talk. Of course, we started with the sample, which was a dope electric piano. And you hear all of those different elements in there. You hear electric piano, you hear bass line, you hear rises and falls. So now we can actually go and find some more rises and falls to kind of complement it and then kind of go from there. But it's just different things you could do with that. So of course we started that with the sample, and then we went backwards. We hit it with an open hat. And we put the open hats on a kind of an eighth count. And then we did the other hats on a 16th. And it's just to give us a little bit of variation, man. You know, we laid a lot of different hats. And this was another open hat. You know what I mean? We put a snare on here. Put a little bit of reverb on it. For those who are asking, where's all of these drum sounds coming from? It's coming from this kit. And we got the drums here. We put it all together, man. That joint sound kind of solid. Let's go back to the first beat that we had, which was, I think it was, what do you call it, 40 Below Boots? Do we call it 40 Below? Peace, hero, for real. Let's go. Try something.
Arkatech Beatz.
Get the hottest beats.
Something to think about. Something to think about. This variation. You know what I mean? And then we did 3 joints tonight, right? Or was it 4? It was 3. It was 3. What's up, Elliot, man? What's up? Thanks, Bob. Don't even rap. He want to lay down 16. That piano is beautiful. About to spit a verse. Them days is long gone, brother. Yo, true story. Like, true story. That's why I started making beats. Like, that's a true story. I had a rap group. Shout out to my man Jaja from the Bronx. I had a rap group. And we had a meeting. You know, somebody put together a meeting. What I did, you know, let me reverse. I'm tripping. I had a rap group. I was running all around the Bronx trying to find people to get beats. Nobody wanted to give up the beats. Guys had beats. Nobody would give up the beats. So I got fed up, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to get the equipment. I'm gonna do it myself. Start doing the beats, and then never really look back. And that was it. But the reason why I really quit, why I didn't want to rap no more, is because I had a younger cousin. He was much younger than me. He was about maybe like my cousin Pressure. He like maybe, I think about 8 years younger than me. And he was rapping circles around me. Now his name is if you look up he got an old school record. It's called Poor Man's Wish. It's by Pressure and Arafat. They were featured in the Source Unsigned Hype back in like 2000. We had them signed to Loud, and they were signed to Sony. But we had a shake up at Sony after Ghostface left. Everything got shook up, and our A&R guy, he lost his job. You know, once the A&R loses his job, it was a wrap. So Loud had closed. Loud was closing, and we had got them over to Epic, Sony. We had a development deal there, and then we had records from Rockwaller, Megahertz, Rick Rock. We had records with Just Blaze. Yep. Now you could, if you go to our YouTube page, there's a whole playlist with my young cousin called Pressure. And if you listen to all those raps is pre-2000. So you be like, wow, he wasn't even 18 years old. You know what it was, Eliam? It wasn't even that I resented it. I just knew where my strength lied, and my strength didn't lie there. You know what I mean? Like, although I knew I could write and I could do that type of stuff, that wasn't where my strength was. My strength was really in building, just building what we had, and then, investing in my other artists. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to like Sean Anthony Baker, who now is, he's in the movies now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was, that's my man, and he started as an artist under us, and and then he evolved into a producer and songwriter, and then evolved into an actor, and that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just got to know where your strength is, and that's why I call ourselves the Arkatech, is because we know how to build, and we just know how to see something and build it from nothing. You know what I mean? So I want to use this platform again, man. We're trying to find the next ones. Who's the next ones? Who's the next producers? Who's the next artist? Who's really looking to invest in themselves? Who's really trying to take the time to do it? That's what the live is all about. The live is about trying to teach people who want to learn, and then we're giving them access. You know what I'm saying? So that's really, like, if you think about when people look at the production and you trying to work with a producer, man, especially an established producer, and people say, damn, I got to pay this, I got to do that, I got to do that. You're paying for access, man. You're paying for access to information. Like, not everybody going to do it for free. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it, is that, not everybody do it for free. You know what I'm saying? There always has to be some cost for time. You know what I'm saying? So I think people are not really paying attention to that and not really realizing that. They just look at certain things and say, man, that's just, that. Why does that cost this or why does that cost that? It's because, you're paying for access, right? And the reason why you pay for the access is so that you can save time, right? Because you're getting the information, and then now, instead of you taking 10 steps to get somewhere, all you need is 5. Listen, I think there's a lot of producers. Hero Beats said there's a lot of, about 85% of producers used to rap, I feel. I think we all rap. I think we all rap somewhere in our heart somewhere, but we just know that there are just some people that's better. You know what I'm saying? There's just some people that are just so gifted, man. Like, I have been blessed to have worked and have seen some of the best to ever do it. You know what I mean? Like watching Pun record Capital Punishment was just like, whoa. Like, I didn't even know, like, whoa. And then I remember the first time he called us to the studio to hear Leatherface. And he was, at the time, he was living out of the studio on Sony. People who know that old Sony studio in the 50s down the street from the Hit Factory, people are old enough for that in Manhattan, if people remember that. And we go to the studio to see Pun. And this is when he just finished. He just sounded like Remy. This is old. This is old time. But he played us the record, and then we heard the Leatherface, and then we heard, like, the DMX samples and everything. And then Matty C was like, yo, we just need to add one more. We need to add one more instrument to make the hook bigger. So that's when we did the if you notice with that, we jumped into one of the Roland keyboards, and we found that like that childlike sound and that. So it was kind of my kind of spin on trying to do self-conscious over the Exorcist theme. But it was kind of like trying to do that. But we did that over, put that in the beginning, put it on the hook, and the rest of it is history, you know what I mean? You do what, yo, Zach, you do whatever those folks is feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like, if people is feeling it, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like even like going in the studio and seeing like Prodigy and studio and seeing Nas, like these, man, like you if man, to see Nas work, listen, bro. People try to tell me that this person is better than that person. I'm like, nah, bro. Nas is special. And listen, there's some music that yo, it's not even released, man. Like, it's not even released. Like, there's some music that ain't even released, man. I think I got a beat in here that we did for Nas that never got released. It's a song, but it never got released. I don't remember the name of the song. It never got leaked. We just can't find the record. You know what I'm saying? This thing it was a dope beat too, because you know Nas just like those piano beats track back in the day. Shout out to Don Cannon, man. You know, everything take time, bro. You know, some people gotta circle back to your work. You know what I'm saying? I can guarantee you this though, Zach. When Max B come home, everybody gonna be circling back. When Max B come home, they're gonna be like, "Oh, y'all did that record? Y'all know we did that record. Y'all know we did it. It's just y'all just fronting until Max come home." When Max come home, then they're gonna be like, "Oh, they're gonna keep going back to why you do that." Oh, y'all did that? Yeah, we did that. And y'all been knew about it. But when he come home, then it's gonna be like research, and then everybody gonna be riding at that point. You know how it go, man. People be riding waves, bro. And people be riding waves. They be dick riding, and they be trying to act like like what you ain't do wasn't big. You know what I'm saying? Like they be acting like what we did ain't big. Like, come on, man. I got a record with Nas and Prodigy. Think about that. Think about that. Think about it. Nas and Prodigy. Think about that. Only us and Alchemist got that in Havoc. Nobody else ain't got that. Come on, man. We be playing games, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody. You know, where's the questions at? I got a few minutes. I'll answer any questions as it relates to music business, social media marketing, you name it, e-commerce, merch. If you want to know, I got the info. The question is, who's asking the right questions? You got to treat me like ChatGPT. Make sure y'all copying these books. Make sure y'all copying these drum kits. Let's get your sound up. Let's go. Let's get your knowledge up. Let's go. Anybody in the chat that got any questions before I get out? Somebody asked, free beats to artists with potential. Who want to answer that question for me, for homie in the chat? What's your thought on new MPC? Um, the new MPCs versus the old, man. And listen, the old MPC can't touch this, bro. Never. Like, I had to stop using the old MPC because it didn't have like the time stretch and the stuff that I really wanted it to have. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't warping the sounds like how FL was. FL was warping them sounds and was doing all types of stuff and was warping stuff, and I was messing around with the pitch and the issues that we used to have with pitch in the old MPC. Because remember, you had to tune everything. But if you didn't have good ears, your sample would be doing one thing, your bass line would be doing something else. And like a good example of like samples and pitch. Like if you go back and you listen to say you listen to Faith Evans, that I remember, You Used to Love Me, and you see how those guys was playing the sample on one thing and then trying to play it on another key, but it kind of goes, but it kind of don't go. It's kind of in between. And then if you remember, like this group called Crew, and they had a record called Just Another Case, and they used to have that. It had a guitar sample that would pitch up and pitch down, and it would kind of be in between. And that's just the challenges you used to have with using MPCs, man. Like you can do it, but it was like, man, it was so difficult. So then that's when I abandoned that, started using FL, and then also I was in Atlanta, man, and everybody used FL to do trap music, and between the EQs and the stuff that you could do with that stuff, it was just different. Then I went to Machine, and then Machine upgraded, or Machine didn't upgrade, and I had to stop using that. And then I started using Ableton for a little while, but the Ableton sound to me just wasn't what I wanted it to be. But it had the functionality, but it just didn't have the sound at the time. Couldn't get into Logic. Went back to FL. Then started doing Serato. And then I said, okay. I saw the MPC. I seen the stem separator came out. And then once that came out, I said, okay, it's time for me to get back into an MPC. And that's when I really got back in. I really got back into the MPC exactly at the time when they started doing the stem separation. It was a necessary tool. Nobody answered. Jay got beats for free beats for artists with potential. Listen, artists can't spend more money on sneakers and drip than they spend on their music, man. That's really my position. My position is that, if you got money for that, if you got money for jewelry, if you got money for strip clubs, if you got money for sneakers and drip, then you gotta have money for your music. And if you don't got that, then honestly, good luck in succeeding in 2025. You might be that lucky guy that could do a viral video, but you'll be that needle in the haystack. You know what I'm saying? Anything worth having is worth paying for. And people, you gotta invest in yourself. I ain't gonna hold you. You gotta invest in yourself. Those days of people saying, hey man, like I can get with an artist right now that got potential, but if he don't got no money, good luck blowing up. It's gonna be hard. You gotta, I tell people that, listen, you should really be out here working to fund your dream. Yeah, L Cool J when I was using FL Studio. He said, I reached out to an artist to submit beats. He says he charges to work with producers. Listen, man. Listen, man. Yeah, you made me laugh tonight, bro. Listen. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I've been in this thing long. I watch artists come and go. I watch artists come and I watch artists go. If it's one thing that's gonna be here, it's gonna be a producer. I'm telling you. They still lining up for DJ Premier. They still lining up for Dr. Dre. They still lining up for Timberland. They still lining up for Pharrell. The producers ain't going nowhere, bro. Not the good ones. They still lining up for Alchemist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't going nowhere, man. People still on the horn calling us. Like, we ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You hear the music. We ain't going nowhere, man. You know what I'm saying? If you want trap music, I can do trap music. I got those trap records out there. You can go listen to them. You know what I'm saying? When we was doing all that Alley Boy stuff, we had Atlanta in the chokehold. Like, we had Atlanta in the chokehold. They was calling us like fish grits. They was like, man, we need what we gave. We need what you give to Alley Boy and Trouble and those guys. Yeah, come on, man. Just said pay an artist for a placement. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. If an artist say, hey, man, let me hold a little bit of something for the placement, you know what I mean? I can get that. Like when I say hold something, meaning like a little bit of the back end, maybe a little, a little more pub or something like that. I can get that, but I mean, you got to be established. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're established, then you can have those kind of talks. If you're not an established artist, then I don't know why you would even say that. But anybody got any questions, man? Any other questions as it relates to any music production, anything like that? He said, your brother-in-law passed back in 2023. My condolences to you. And he has some demos that the family's just holding on to. I would take those demos. I would talk to the family. I would take those demos. I would probably partner with somebody on Fiverr to create some visuals for them and put them out. Yeah, create some visuals for that. Put it out. Put it out yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do a bunch of lyric videos, a bunch of other things, and put those songs out. You never know, man. A song could catch. A song could catch, man. People don't realize that it just take one song that could catch, man. A song could get, placed in a movie. All types of different things can happen, man. Shout out Born Ready. My condolences to you for, on your loss, man. Losing a sibling, man, it's painful, man. I just went through that. It's the worst thing. Yeah, condolences to you, man. Losing siblings ain't no joke, man. I've lost 2 sisters in the last 4 years. It's the worst. Who else in the chat? DJ Marbles, I appreciate you. Yeah, somebody was asking me, did I have gear acquisition syndrome? I think that's funny. Yeah, like there was a time when I wanted equipment. I always was wanting equipment. I just want to upgrade equipment. I would buy rack mounts. I had Planet Fats. I had, I had the Phantom keyboard. I had a Triton. I had an ASR10. I had Ghost board. I had this. I was buying computers and I was buying sound modules and stuff like that. And listen, it gets to the point where you don't need none of that shit, man. Like if I'm being honest with you, man. Like you're better off getting one piece of equipment and putting the real time into that shit and making it go. Like you gotta put the time into it. If you ain't gonna put the time into it, then I don't think that it really gonna serve you. And that's just my experience. You know what I mean? Like My experience is like I remember when we were transitioning from samples to no samples, and that was during that little age when we were doing like, man, I ain't got no compressors, bro. And I haven't been collaborating with anybody in the lives, and the reason for that is that it creates too much issues in terms of like samples, copyright strikes, and that type of thing. But yeah. Oh, you mean in person? Nah, not yet. Not yet. My intention is my intention is to really, once the community is where I want it to be, my intention is to do live events. That's my intention. My intention is to have an event where people bring in their joints, and I'm like, all right, this is the sample. You got this much time. Let's work. Blah, 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 blah. And then I would bring in other producers, guys that I know, guys that me and Mike know, and then you get to work with these other guys and to do a real workshop like that. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna have we have what's the name? We have a guest on our podcast coming on Sunday. Big time guest, man. He did music for Jay-Z. He did music for Mariah Carey. Did music for Jadakiss, DMX. So you definitely gonna want to tune into that. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna tell his whole story. And you're gonna be able to hear that. And if you check our podcast, we got like some episodes with like Austin is from Heat Makers, and people tell their stories, man. You know what I mean? When you start talking to these producers, you start to really see what it is. Have I come across sample clearing issues? Man, of course, man. Listen, there was a time when they was calling us the unclearable architects. Yo, rest in peace to Chip Bank, man. Chip Banks from American Cream Team was calling us that for a hot second because we used to sample these records, man, that was so obscure. We would sample these records; they were absolutely obscure, but they were heavy instrumentation, heavy instrumentation. It wasn't soul; it was like new age type stuff. You know what I mean? And it was just spectacular. It was beautiful when you listen to it. Every time you listen to these songs, they were like movies. But them motherfuckers would never clear them shits. You heard? They would never clear. And that shit hurt us. I ain't gonna hold you, man. That shit hurt. Like I was telling people in the previous live, Raekwon's Immobilarity that you guys heard for commercial release isn't the album that we constructed. The album that we constructed was way different. And it was hampered by sample issues, records that couldn't clear. And when the records did clear, these guys was coming for 100% of the publishing. So imagine producing a record that you can't get paid for. Yeah, I seen that with Buck Wild. With I got a story to tell sample how they had to replay it and all that. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. So when people ask me about royalty-free places, I'm like, man, that's all I'm using, man. I'm using royalty-free all day, every day. And I know there's some producers that send us packs. They want to send us packs and they want to send us, stuff to sample. But we don't use those. And the reason why we don't use those is because guys got stipulations. Guys like, hey, you can use it if you're going to do your YouTube music and stuff, but you can't use it if you get a placement. If you get a placement, you got to call us and you got to do this and you got to do that. So can you imagine that I'm taking your music, right? And then I'm using my connection, I'm using my resources, my hustle to take that sample and now make that sample earn something, because that sample by itself don't earn nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I got to take it and I got to put it into a machine that's going to earn income. And now you've kind of hooked yourself into it. And now you want to kind of say, now you want to dictate all the terms. It don't work like that. So yeah, we kind of stay away from that. So if it's not royalty free from beginning to end, top to bottom, we're not touching it. Also, if it's royalty free, I can do a beat tonight and I can release it tomorrow. Well, look, I mean, for people who say you got to do 50,000 streams and then you got to come back, that's ridiculous, man. Like, give people an opportunity to make some money. You feel me? Like on our licensing terms, we give you 2 million streams, bro. By the time you do 2 million streams, you would have made $5,000, and that's just off the master recording, the master side, right? After you did 2 million streams, you would have been able to generate $5,000 at the very least. You know what I'm saying? That's not even counting the publishing side. You know what I'm saying? That's just the master recording side. So now that you got $5,000, like now you can say, okay, I got money to reinvest. Now we could talk about something. You know what I'm saying? 5, 6, 7 grand. You know what I'm saying? That means if you got 2 million. If you got 2 million streams, that means you got people that really messing with you. And you can go out here, you can sell some merch. You can go out here, you can get some shows. Like, you can't do nothing with 50,000 streams, man. Like, listen, this shit is not reasonable. And that's the issue with producers and artists right now, is that the artists think that they're this, and then there's producers now that are delusional and think that they're this too. And this, you need each other, you know? And we have to find a way to work with each other where we're not taking advantage of each other. And that's really what the issue is. And let me tell you a joke, and I'll tell y'all something else, and I hope somebody can clip this up and send it out somewhere one day. Oh, you know, whenever we was working with artists like Nas, you got to realize Nas had already did Illmatic. Nas had already done It Was Written, right? So he was right in between doing I Am Nostradamus. He was in between doing those times. So he was at the top of the food chain. When we was bringing him music, not once did he ever say, hey, you going to do it and don't get paid. Raekwon never did that. Big Pun never did that. Guys at the top of their game, at the top of the rap food chain, would never consider taking your music without paying you. It's because they valued the producer. That's the problem. That's why music is shit. It's because y'all don't value the producer. You know what I'm saying? The artists don't value the producer. The artists are they're inflated egos, and they don't value the producer. And that's the issue. And you think, and this is a thing to these artists out there. You think that you can just go on the internet and you can find the music that you want to find and you be good. All right, it don't work that way. It really don't. It don't work that way. You know what I'm saying? The guys that are really good at what they're doing, they have a sound. You can't get a sound if you're working with 100 different producers. You can't do it. You have to develop a sound. You have to develop something that keeps your people coming back to you. You have to develop that. Even if you are a content creator, right? You still have to create content that is binge watching worthy. So it still has to have it still has to have some sort of a recurring theme, if you will. So if you're not doing that, right, then people are going to lose interest in what you're doing because, okay, what I jumped on for, you keep changing it up. That's what I'm saying. Like I say, somebody's saying a solid producer can define a project. And that's what nobody understands. It's like, you know what I'm saying? They think that you can just hop around, and just keep looking for music. Like, it's very difficult for you to look for music that's going to fit into a particular musical landscape. It's very difficult, right? Let's say you got one producer that produced 4 songs on a 10-song album. Now you got to find 6 more. You know how difficult it is to find 6 more producers to make songs that's going to be comparable to the first 4? Or like you gotta make it fit. And then sometimes if you get with a new producer, they can change the direction of the project. So now they become the baseline. And then the first records that you've recorded are no good, you know? And that's what kind of creates the problem. So this is why when you listen to guys' albums, they're disjointed. They don't go together. They don't flow from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying? It's not an Outcast, a Quemini from beginning to end. Or it's not a Mobb Deep Infamous from beginning to end. Or a Chronic from beginning to end. Or a College Dropout from beginning to end. It's not cohesive. Shout out to Hero Beats. No cohesion. That's how it works. It's because, people don't do it. They don't do enough. They don't do enough research. You said A&R used to help with that type of stuff. Yeah, but what happens? Everybody's trying to cut corners. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to cut corners. Like, once you start making money, like, that's the reality of the situation. That's what the expectation. If I'm working with an artist and the artist is on limited budget, right, we're going to give you an entry-level way to get to it, right? So say we charging 10 times an amount, we might give you, might say, okay, we're going to discount it because we feel like you got traction. We're going to discount it. And then once you start making bread, make us right. You know what I'm saying? That's all people be asking for. But what happens is guys get traction. Then they think that they can, get better producers. All right. Good luck with that. Yeah, it's definitely not the same like before. Does anybody have any music publishing questions? Does anybody have any copyright questions? Does anybody have any social media marketing questions? Does anybody have any music e-commerce questions? Does anybody have any distribution or record label questions? I'm just putting it out there. We do have a distribution deal with Sony and the Orchard. We are actively in that deal, so this is the time to ask questions. It says if I have zero content, but I produce and mix, where do you start? You got to make some content. Yeah, you gotta get some content, and you may have to offer your services to somebody to get that content. But you may have to do some discounts or some freebies to have that content so that you can highlight and show people. So what's the best way to set up and selling the beat selling site? I would say for people who are entry level, they would do BeatStars. And that's really like and I'm saying that very reluctantly, because when you're dealing with a situation like BeatStars, remember you have a lot to compete with, right? I am more of a proponent for people to set up their own websites, their own e-com websites. Of course, you can use stuff like Bandcamp and things like that are very good for selling music. If you're a little bit more savvy and you want to sell more than music, then you would use platforms like Shopify. But yeah, that would the reason why I would say to set up something independent of a place like BeatStars is because you don't ever want to be a small fish in a big pond. Young Reaper, if you play second on BeatStars out of 36,000 people, that mean you nice. Make sure you're not underselling yourself. If you play second on like that, that means you're nice. Make sure your prices is right. When you say Bryson Tiller producer stole your beat, what you mean? He stole your sample idea or he stole your beat? Can you prove it? Can you prove that he stole your beat and remixed it? Nah, you can do something about it. It don't have to be registered copyright for you to do something about it. If it's posted online and it has a timestamp, but when you posted it online and somebody used it after you, you can always put in a copyright claim. See, copyright don't work like that. You need to register it if you want to sue, but yeah, you would have needed to once you found out, you should have copyrighted the record, and then then that'll put you in a position to sue, because you have a legal copyright. So what's our biggest produced record? Our biggest produced record would be Big Pun, Capital Punishment, 3 times platinum, and then the second album was regular platinum. But then, we did some work on the Games documentary DVD, and that did 5 million, so that's a whole other story. But yeah, those are the big records. It says, somebody asked, do you think that emailing, waving MP3s to artists has killed the producer and artist cohesiveness? Yes. Yes, I believe that did kill the cohesion. But let me be honest with you. A lot of times producers don't want to be in the studio with artists. And the reason why producers don't want to be in the studio with artists is because there's a disconnect in how producers think and how artists think. So, there was something that I didn't learn early. I didn't learn this early on in our career, and I believe that this would have helped us earlier on in our career, but it wasn't something that I paid attention to. And I want to look in the camera when I say this. So I have my production partner Mike Trauma D. Mike Trauma D is my blood cousin. He's my father's brother's son. My father's younger brother's son, right? And we've been doing this thing from the beginning. Mike had a more of an outgoing personality than I had. I never really was an outgoing person, if I'm just being totally honest with you, right? I'm a guy, I do my music, I used to go to the gym, do the boxing, whatever, so forth, whatever, stuff like that, right? Whatever, cool. That's why they start calling me Jug, whatever, right? Boom. So I wouldn't say that I was socially awkward, but I would just say I didn't like to be around certain people. Yep, introvert, right? I didn't like to be around certain people. And doing this right now would have been like impossible for me, maybe like, when I first started. Nah, not the whole album. We did the title track, Capital Punishment. So when Mike started working at the label, we used to call Mike, Poly Man, because he used to be able to politic with anybody. Politic. like Mike politic with everybody. Mike talk to people. I never liked none of that shit. Never liked doing that shit. Never liked it. When I think about it in retrospect, that's really what could have, if both of us was doing it equally, in that respect, I think we could have accomplished a lot more, right? And it's because, listen, closed mouth doesn't get fed. And that's just the reality of the situation. So when people says, do they think that the emailing of waves and MP3s, they ask if does that, is that what hurt the cohesion, is that people are socially awkward and they don't want to be in these confined spaces for hours and hours on a time. This guy might smoke, you might not smoke. This guy might drink, you might not drink. This guy got a whole bunch of bitches around, you might not want to deal with that, right? Because you might be on your Christian celibate journey, right? And then, right, and this is something that I noticed when I came to Atlanta. Like, Atlanta had a lot of crews. You go different places. You go different places, guys being into different type of things in the street. You know what I'm saying? So you start going to the studio and you're not really feeling safe, right? Hey, you go into the studio, you don't feel safe, right? Because now you in the studio. Like we went to one studio. I can't say whose studio it was one time, and we would go there like you have a whole console of people. Everybody had to put their gun on the console, right? Like, this is the type of shit that you want when you're dealing with hip hop. When you're dealing with rap music, this is what it is, right? And to be honest with you, everybody not built for that. Everybody not built for that. People are not built for that type of time. And I think that's really where you see a lot of artists and producers, producers that don't really want to go to the studio. They rather just send their packs and let it ride. It's because they don't really want to be around that energy. And I can't blame them. You know what I'm saying? I can't blame them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said it before in another live before. Like, I never had to carry a gun to the studio until I moved to Atlanta. like, that's what it was. You would be a fool to be out here in a city that people can conceal carry and you ain't got your gun. We're from New York. New York, you couldn't carry a gun legally. You know what I'm saying? You had to, you took a big risk running around with a gun in New York. You know what I'm saying? But that's the type of time people is on, man. You know what I'm saying? People is on that type of time. So it makes people feel unsafe. And, a lot of producers don't want to deal with the shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? They're not really on that type of time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see, there's people say there's certain sacrifices that I want to do that, but then you got stuff that happens, like, say for example, like, you see the shootings. You see a lot of guys getting shot, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see, like, Bankroll Fresh, rest in peace to him, and Walker's guy who got killed in the studio. Like, you got those elements where, things happen and things escalate, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times you'll be in rooms full of guys, man, You got a lot of things that happen, man, you know what I'm saying? So, to answer your question, Rob, yeah, man, sometimes I think that because of the disconnect between artist and producer, the cohesion in music has suffered. I believe that, guys do need to get back in the lab again and need to work together, so that you can whisper in their ear and say, yo, don't hit it like that. Hit it like this. Pause. No Diddy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of time people got to be on. But again, I would encourage people. That's another reason why I say, yo, you got to be content creator, man, so that you can start getting your communication game up. Start getting used to talking to people. This is a networking game. This is a game of networking. And not only do you need to know how to network in person, you got to learn how to network online. Got to know how to do that. Like, you got to know how to, okay, I don't know a guy. How am I going to DM? How I'm going to send a DM to somebody to get them to respond. How do I respond to how do I, interact and appeal to their ego before I ask for something? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to know the arts of doing that. So sometimes I may have these books, but I'll also have other books on our website that I recommend that people should read. And those things are also about that, also about, like, not just about building your business, but building your personal development. appreciate that, man. We talking about that Saha the Prince that we did that we had with Adele on that called Start a War. That record was phenomenal, man, but you know it was plagued with sample issues. Yeah, I can't express it more. Like, I really wish, like, now that I'm older and I don't have any problem talking to people, but you know in my younger days, man, like, people ain't want to talk to me, man. Like, that, that was my demeanor and my stature. I guess it's just being from the Bronx. My demeanor and my stature was like, just like, like, oh my God, this guy looked like he about to do something to me. You know what I mean? Because I really didn't. I really, I seen so much bad things happen in the BX, man. I'm different. Yep. L Cool J say, man, people's attitudes, man, and social skills are bad, and that's real. You could talk yourself out of a lot of stuff. You get into the room and you could talk yourself into it. You could talk yourself out of it. You got to know how to read the room. You got to know what's what. And the thing for me too was like, these guys smoke. I don't smoke. You know what I'm saying? These guys do this. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into that. So then what happens is, if you don't have a common thing, a common ground with the artist, you have to find commonality. And that's something that, in order for you to be a good networker or good conversationalist, you have to have commonality. So this is where a lot of people don't realize that this is where it's important for you to be well read and well spoken. Because if you're well read, then what happens is you can go into rooms and then you have a little baseline knowledge on a lot of different subjects and a lot of subject matter. So then now you know how to fill in the gap with that, with that kind of talk that people have that don't really mean anything, but you're just talking. No, I never got a chance to work with Fred the Godson, man. Rest in peace. He said, not trying to pocket watch, but how much do you make from this producing stuff? I don't know. You're gonna have to Google that, man. You remember, I'm from the Bronx, man. We don't talk about that type of stuff, man. When you start talking about how much you making and stuff, you gotta be ready to start shooting. That's why we don't talk about that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, rest in peace, Fred the Godson, man. He was nice. He was nice, man. That damn COVID, man. Him, K Slay. COVID, man. L Cool J said New York is no pocket watch. Yeah, because when people start asking you a question about their pocket, I mean, they're trying to line you up. Satoshi Banks says, what old projects have you worked on in the 90s? First of all, why you frame the question like that? To make it seem like I'm just like an old head. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But from the 90s, we did, like I said, our first record is Big Pun, Capital Punishment, 1998. Then we did like Terror Squad, 1999. That's Terror Squad, the album. Then we did Nas, QB's Finest. Right? Nas, QB's Finest. We worked on that. Raekwon's Immobilarity. Black and White Score. We did Obi Trice. We did that, but that didn't release. And we did Mike Maya when she first started going independent. And we did who else we did? Who else we did after that? Did some Duck Down stuff, but that was early. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure of something. Somebody's asking me something that I can't see. And y'all know that I be trying to struggle trying to see it. I got to put it on the big screen. I got 2 screens here, so I got to put it on the big screen. I think the new MPC Sonic is better. I think it's louder. Now, I've never been to the Lyricist Lounge, but I'm familiar with Aguilar. But you remember my cousin, he was A&R at Loud. So, I came on as an A&R consultant later on. So he was there from, he started there from like Hell on Earth. And he has his first A&R credit, I believe, is Hell on Earth with Mobb Deep. And then, he was in that building, so everybody came in that building. Like when you would go to Loud, you don't know who you would see. You know what I'm saying? This person be here, you would see Large Professor this day, Pete Rock the next day, you would see Prodigy the other day, Expected Deck come through. You don't know who you're gonna see. Yep. Loud Records. Yep. I needs to be on Tower up there from Tower Records. So you may be confusing me with my cousin. Cause we look alike. I'm just taller, maybe 50 pounds heavier. Yeah, man, people trying to line me up, man. They be asking me those money questions. Trying to line me up. Yo, how much money you made, son? Nah, negative. We ain't doing that. You ain't trying to line me up. Somebody's asking, do I use outboard gear? No outboard gear. I only use just an interface. Says new artists that I haven't worked with that I want to. Well, I definitely want to do some Griselda, but stay tuned for that. I can't get the cat out of the bag yet. There's some dope guys over there that I think our sound would fit. Like, I think our sound would fit with some of those guys in a way that would be definitely like, legendary status. But I also want to do Jay-Z. I've never done Jay-Z. We've had opportunities, but just couldn't put it together. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. We had opportunity there, didn't make it connect. Alley Boy was doing a lot of time out in California, and Nipsey was checking for us, and we just couldn't connect it. So rest in peace to him. And then what else? Who else would I have who I like to do? I like to do Drake, definitely. Like, that would be something dope to do. But I would want like lyrical Drake, you know what I mean? Like let's rap. Big L, my cousin had a really good relationship with Big L, man. I was telling people the story the other day about last time we seen Big L was on that video shoot for John Blaze with Fat Joe. And Fat Joe, Raekwon, Nas, Big Pun, Jadakiss. Around that time, we was running everywhere. If Pun was there and Ray was there, between Pun and Raekwon, we was golden. We can go anywhere where they was at. He said interlude Drake. Yeah, that's what we like. It's funny that you know what I noticed? I've been asking for the last half an hour if anybody got any questions on music publishing. Nobody got no questions on music publishing. That's interesting. Yeah, that Big L stuff it was terrible, man. He was literally playing music for my cousin in his car, man, at that video shoot. Like no bullshit. He was like, "Y'all gonna come to the office. I'm gonna play you some more stuff." Straight up. Do the federal government pay publishing? No, sir. Federal government is not paying any music publishing. Now they help to create the sound exchange, but that's not really music publishing. That's more about like sound recordings, and it's a little bit separate from the composition of music publishing. We've been live for 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's almost midnight. I'm about to sign off. I'll be back tomorrow. Same 40 below time. Same 40 below channel. Make sure y'all tap in. For those who are new here, make sure y'all sharing it. You know, for people who might need that information. For those who have already was looking for, like I said, asking me about the drums. There goes the kit. The kit is available at arkatechbeatz.com. For those who have more music related questions. T.O., what's up, man? Thanks for the follow, man. Look forward to seeing you here. We'll be back tomorrow. That joint sound crazy on the replay. I'm like, man, we definitely gonna have to do something with that. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody that's coming in the live. While I'm trying to ready to get out of the live, but I'll be back here tomorrow at 9:00 for aspiring producers. Make sure y'all checking out those drum kits. Make sure y'all checking out these books. Make sure that you learn in this music business. For aspiring artists, we have been posting some music, but it's limited licensing. So there are beats for sale, but again, they're limited. So we're doing maybe 1 to 5 licenses per track, and once that's done, then that's it. You know what I mean? We're not really trying to have a whole bunch of music out there. We're trying to just work with artists that are really serious about working, and people who are willing to invest in themselves, and of course they'll have access to us, and the things that we'll be offering as it relates to you doing your music with us, right? Make sure your folks are staying safe out there. The streets is crazy right now. So I want everybody to stay safe. I'll be back here tomorrow. And until next time, peace out.